Morning, everybody. How are you? Good. Right color to brighten your day. We have a very interesting subject called nation brands. We had what is called the League of Nations, which had at that point of time just around 69 countries, and today we have more than 195 countries. So what does that make for business, for tourism, also from the fact of what's called a country brand. So what it says is that the country brands are not as simple as individual brands. Coming to what a nation brand is, it's very interesting that nation brand is far more dynamic in nature, and look at it. It has a name. So what does a name mean to somebody? When I say the word Malta, or the minute I say the word France, you have a certain amount of pictures that come into your mind. Or if I were to talk Italy, or if for that matter, if you say India, you would know, okay, you have a Taj Mahal, you have this, you have that. So that's how it is. So a name can signify things. So it is the flag, the language, the physical space, the government, the sport. Very, very interesting that you get recognized by these interesting characters. So languages, religion, territory, history, sport make up a national sentiment. And national sentiment is what makes the nation. So we need to understand that what is the national sentiment of the country that we are talking about. So if you are in the business of marketing, and if you want to stand for something, what is it that is you, and how that is going to be different to others? In nation branding, if you were to look at it, there are three aspects. Now please remember that every nation, we have now 195 or almost, and practically every year we have one or two more countries added. Every country is competing with the other. But this is what's very important for all of us to understand, that when we are talking about an environment, we are not just talking tourism, we are talking about a very comprehensive thing, and these are practically the three legs to that. If I'm a businessman and I want to invest in a certain country, I really need to know that will it actually work? Will the culture permit me? Please remember, every country is competing with every other nation. So how different are you when it comes to the FDI platform? Every country has got a certain amount of, I would say, authenticity. What is it that you are promoting in terms of authenticity? If you were to talk about England, it's about English tea, the French perfume, Chinese silk, German cars, Italian leather, Swiss watches, Jamaican rums, and Indian yoga. Just to put a few, I'm sure you have a list. Now imagine you jumble it up. For example, Chinese rum doesn't work. English Indian wash. Oh, Indian wash is allowed to brand, but yes. Yeah, defending. So what happens is that each country gets known by a certain aspect. So our objective is to get down to the heart of the matter and find out what is it that's truly authentic about you. What is the symbols of tourism you've created? What is it that is that one image that would make all the difference for someone to understand? I mean, if I say Taj Mahal, how difficult is it that you would mistake it for some other country? Not at all. So there are symbols that are being created even now. For example, what Dubai is doing. We could start having conversation on what happens in that city. It's not that you have to be like somebody else, but what matters in your place. Your food is phenomenal. I mean, there are ideas that you could create from your own food. And if you were to look at what, a very recent, most successful show is a show called Master Chef, which is originated in Australia. In an age of instant connectivity, what are the constant stories that you want to about your own country? Please remember, this is now become a commodity. If we are still going after sun and sand, there are others who are offering it at a much lower price. So please remember, sun and sand days are actually over. This is very, very interesting. It's based on a 4x4 matrix of the Boston Consulting Group. I'm going to spend a bit of time on this. It talks about your competition in 4 different formats. One, you have the ex-champ. One, you have the leader. One, you have the underdog. And one, you have the challenger. So clearly you can say that when you are a country brand, what is it that you need to position yourself? How do you want to be positioned yourself? And you can see, you can start putting the flags of different nations over here to understand who's occupying that space. There's a very interesting lady, Fiona Gilmore. She's written a lot of books about nation branding. And one of the quotes is a very simple thing, but a very powerful message. That a branding of a country must be its amplification and not its fabrication. Coming down to what creates a destination brand, and I've tried to make a very simple graph so that it's well understood. The promise that I can give, that is a promise that I can live, and a promise that is me. Because I cannot do somebody else's promise. And please remember, when I make a promise, I got to be consistent about it. That I should be able to do it day after day. And in our case, or let's say in the case of a destination brand, it's not just one person performing, it's a myriad of people who would be involved in that business should be able to deliver that promise of that particular promise that you've decided to go. There has to be that value, and there has to be a sufficiently differentiated value, else nobody's going to consider that. What is it in that one picture that you can tell me about yourself? And I think one of the most powerful examples in the recent times is what Santorini has done. It's just one picture, and the whole world wants to go stand on that parapet and take that picture again and again and again. We're living in an environment where just that one image can become communicated in a strong manner. So the destination brand is primarily a mix of all of these things together in its right proportions. If there are any more questions, I would like to probably take it up on a one-on-one basis. Okay? Thank you.